AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio welcomes you to Back Your Play with Q. Live from the studios of Longport Media, here is your host, Rich Quinones.
Good afternoon, everyone. 4 o'clock straight up, a Tuesday edition of Back Your Play coming at you. Live inside the friendly confines of the AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio studios. I'm your host, as always, Rich Quinones. We'll take you up to 6 o'clock straight up. 2 hours to play with on this 28th of September 2021. Tyler P. on the other side of the glass, producing the show, keeping us on the air. As always, don't forget the 609-445-1490. That'll get you involved in two-way sports talk. Bring something to the table. You can get social with us on Twitter at RichQ on Q and 1490 SportsBet. And you can always comment along on Facebook as well. You can find me there. So, we've got a busy show. We had to push back Johnny Mack because the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles speaks in a couple moments. Who knows what the hell he's going to say. So we'll have Lloyd in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll mix in a little baseball. Pennant race is heating up. This is the last stand, if you will, for the Philadelphia Phillies. This 3-game set against Atlanta. So, hey, we got a little pennant baseball. We'll give you some of the best plays on the diamond. But you have to start with the NFL. And let's keep it from a local standpoint. Because for my Giant fans out there, I'll get to that disgrace of a football team and franchise in a moment. Let us start with what transpired last night in Big D in Dallas, as the Philadelphia Eagles went into Dallas wearing the Beat Dallas T-shirts, sticking their chest out, feeling like they were world beaters after, let's be honest, losing the game you should have won against San Francisco, but after week 1 of the NFL season, we already had gold jackets for Nick Sirianni. We already had gold jackets for Devonta Smith. We already had gold jackets for Jalen Hurts. So at 1-1, a lot of Eagles fans were chirping. The team felt, okay, we're going into Dallas. We're going to make our mark. Because all I heard was the Super Bowl odds have drastically shifted from 100 to 1 to 60 to 1. Oh, you know what? They're going to win 10, 11 games. And the Philadelphia Eagles last night went on the road in front of a national televised audience and got absolutely waxed. No, I'll do you one better. Not only did they get waxed, but it's just as though we decided we're going to take them behind the woodshed. And that's exactly what happened. The Dallas Cowboys decided last night, we're going to spank you over the knee. Or, and some might be familiar with this term, the Philadelphia Eagles got clipped last night by the Dallas Cowboys. Forget about the 41 that the Cowboys put up. They could have scored 60. It was almost like a mercy killing. That game was an absolute disgrace. And the Cowboys, they blew them out in spite of the fact that their head coach doesn't have a freaking clue what he's doing. So if you're an Eagles fan today, you're probably not sticking your chest out. You're probably not gloating or gallivanting about. Because last night, that squad got exposed. The run defense is absolutely horrible. Horrible. The Dallas Cowboys ran for $160 last night. $160. Elliott, 95 yards, 17 totes. 5.6 yards a carry. Pollard, 60 yards, 11 totes, 5.5 yards a carry. The Dallas Cowboys rushed the ball 41 times, and conversely, the Philadelphia Eagles rushed it 12, minus the 9 from Jalen Hurts, and you had 3 rushes. You had 3 rushes, and you had your quarterback drop back to pass 39 times. And I don't want to hear this. They had to throw him back in the game. That was a flat-out disgrace by the Philadelphia Eagles last night. A disgrace. That quarterback looked absolutely lost at times. And you saw it during the telecast and the broadcast. Some of his decision-making, you had some cracks in the armor with the offensive line, a couple bad throws here and there, a couple bad drops. But explain to me how, after week one, Nick Sirianni pushed all the right buttons, and he basically had a game plan around the strengths of Jalen Hurts. So give me that for one moment. Let's just stick to that for a moment. Not so much in week two, but knowing you're going against a team in the Dallas Cowboys that have a penchant to give up the big play, that have a penchant to give up somewhat chunks of yardage. And once again, this kid is not solely to blame for this loss. But the head coaching and the play calling was horrible. A head coach that is preaching discipline, it's almost like listening to Joe Judge in New York. Embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. All these miscues. It was a one-sided matchup. If it was a title fight, I would have thrown in the towel after the second round. And I'm done with Derek Barnett, by the way, because all I heard when they drafted Derek Barnett is he was going to be the next Reggie White. And you saw Sirianni basically mouth the words, it's always him, because he's always getting penalized. So you had bad penalties last night. You had ridiculous nonsense penalties. It's nothing new for this guy. Philadelphia had 13 penalties for 86 yards. So that's a good franchise mark right there. Congratulations. Barnett hasn't been effective. So you know what? Let Sweat go out there and play. The starting quarterback didn't have a good night. He held the ball too long. Looked like Carson Wentz reincarnated. He looked overmatched against the Dallas Cowboys defense. But what he did do is take responsibility, and you saw some fight in him. So, okay, I'm all right with that. Couple big picks. The pick six, not good. Looked indecisive at times, not good. Appeared too much and too reliant on his legs and his wheels, never a good thing. So this is what happens, right? The doubters start to swarm now. And that's typically what happens. So I can admire the kid for showing a little self-accountability. But the end of the day is this, man. You're 23 years of age. You've had 7 career starts. We know to a man the Philadelphia Eagles are not sold on this kid. I don't care what they say. They're not. He's going to have to turn it around. You know, this clamoring last night for the Minshews of the Floccos of the world. Yeah, let Joe throw it 60 yards and get a pass interference flag. Whatever. I mean, stop. And then you got the head coach who, again, for some inexplicable reason, decided, I'm going to be one of the boys. I'm going to proudly flaunt the Beat Dallas shirt. This guy hasn't even had a lousy cup of coffee in the NFL. And he thinks he's got equity built up in the league to be one of the boys and have a little fun with it. You got to get a couple W's on your belt there, Nicky boy. That shirt backfired in a big way. And I'm telling you right now, it only gets magnified when you got a squad being outcoached and outplayed. The rah-rah nonsense, that falls on deaf ears, man. This ain't high school. This ain't college. I got to deal with it with Judge in New York. Now I got to deal with it Sirianni in Philadelphia. This team last night showed just a ridiculous lack of discipline. And the poor job, the poor coaching job, the play calling, when you know you have to run the ball a little bit. You know the Dallas Cowboys can get up and down the field. They were running all over. Your defense was tired. So what do? Let me just get a couple 3 and out so I can put my defense right back on the field? What? You ran the lousy football with your running backs 3 times. 3. I mean, you want to focus on the fundamentals and improvement? Instead of worrying about a beat Dallas or, hey, beat Kansas City shirt. And the loss of Brandon Graham, let's not for one moment overlook that, because his departure exposed their run defense big time. The Dallas, in the NFL, come on, you guys are wise, you guys are smart. You're watching a game, and it's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. You're watching at home with your buddies, or your family, or your friends, whatever, and you say to yourself, man, they got to run the football. They got to pick up 2. The broadcasters are saying, hey, man, you got to pick up 2. The defense knows you got to pick up 2. How in the world do you have a game last night where the Dallas Cowboys basically any given moment can run the ball down their throats? I was catching up with my guy Jeff over at Charlie's in Summers Point today, and he said the same thing. He said, Rich, they ran the ball to the left, they ran the ball to the right. They ran the same play 3 or 4 times. So explain this to me. You had 2 backs combining for 28 carries for $155. So what happens? You get that ground game going, Dak's going to be so confident and competent in the pocket with the play action. And it worked. He completes 20 of 26 for 238, 3 touchdowns. The Philadelphia Eagles didn't even attempt to run the ball. They didn't. They were busy trying to find comfort in a couple players that they've used in the first couple games. It doesn't work. It didn't work. Smith got shut down, man. Did you hear his name last night? Right? We wanted to stick him in the Hall of Fame. Devonta Smith was targeted 6 times. He had 3 catches for 28 yards. It was a disaster last night. It was an utter disaster. And I don't want to hear this nonsense. Well, the NFC East stinks. I don't want to hear that nonsense. Because that means nothing to me. And I said this, and I was going back and forth with my buddies last night. Because I can mock my Giants because they're a friggin' disgrace. I'll get to them. But the Eagles fan, you shouldn't be barking. You shouldn't be saying squat diddly today because you're both staring down. Giants and Eagles are both staring down the barrel of a 1-6, 1-7 start. You're going to tell me you're going to get Kansas City coming in, already open at 8.5? They're going to win one for Big Red. Kansas City has dropped 2 in a row. You don't think for 1 minute they're going to want to try to light up the Philadelphia Eagles? Then you got Carolina. Then you got Tampa. Then you got the Raiders. Oh, and by the way, you also lose Sayamalo to a list for injury. So let's just add more insult to injury, which is horrible loss. It's a bad loss. And last night was an utter disgrace. Because it's always a week-by-week proposition. Don't give me this crap, this nonsense. You burn the film. You burn the tape. No, you don't. You got some glaring holes, man. You got some glaring weaknesses. And they reared their ugly head last night where, and here's another thing that just annoys the hell out of me. It really does. Don't come at me today with we didn't expect to win. Ha! Don't. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that nonsense. I don't. The offensive line, shambles. Run blocking, pass blocking, no separation. The defense, a sieve. They no answer whatsoever. And if it's not bad for the horrible officiating, the Dallas Cowboys would have put up 60 last night. They would have put up 60. I mean, it's just, it was not good last night, folks. It wasn't. And my concern now going forward is you've got a young quarterback. You've got a team now that has scored 11 and 21 respectively. They dropped 2 in a row, which we kind of thought going into the season, if you looked at the schedule, I've had this conversation with Johnny Mack. If they start 1-5, 1-6, 1-7, if this kid struggles, then what do you do? Do you bench him? Do you want to shake his confidence? Sirianni pulled all the right buttons week 1 against an Atlanta team, and we know how bad they are. Well, we know a team that's worse than they are, the Giants, because Atlanta beat them. So they got to regroup. I mean, I heard Sirianni say, we're going to write down stuff on paper and give it to guys on the flight back. Oh, my goodness. That's the NFL. It is a week to week, right? 1-0, parade down Broad Street. 1-2, panic, jumping off to Walt Whitman, to Ben Franklin, to Coney Palmyra. All right, 20 past the 4 o'clock hour. We're just cranking up on a Tuesday edition of BYP. We'll take up to 6 o'clock straight up. At Rich Q on Q, you can hashtag BYP. And don't forget, at 1490 Sportsbet, I see that tweets are already coming in. Fast and furious. That's what I like to see. We'll open it up as well, 609-445-1490, if you want to get involved on the phone lines as well. T on the other side of the glass, producing the show, keeping us on the air. As I mentioned, Johnny Mac tomorrow. Lloyd Vance in the 5 o'clock hour. We got rid of one team on 95 in the Philadelphia Eagles. And I will not wax poetic about the other team up the Turnpike, the New York Giants. We'll get into their debacle and why they need to just blow it up as well on the other side. And what a crazy weekend in the NFL. It's a league that you can't figure out. You want to talk about bad beats and some bad losses and just dramatic wins, dramatic endings. You got some players and you got some pretenders. So we'll go over that as well. Don't forget, Lloyd Vance is going to join us in 5 o'clock hour. Keep it locked in. 20 past the 4 o'clock hour on a Tuesday edition of BYP right here on AM 1490 Sports Betting Radio.